Okay, that's a wrap. Whew. I feel like
so
we talk really fast, huh?
You sent me an email this week, best tweet ever, and it was Candace Owens
Yeah,
saying
what
that
was?
she's thinking about
Oh,
running for president.
right, right.
Boy, that's gonna rock some people.
Wouldn't it?
Oh
Black
my
female, like
gosh.
it wasn't hard enough for them to backpedal on Tulsi Gabbard, who
I
checked
know,
off
really.
every one of their hypocritical boxes, and yet they back up old white man Biden, who went more progressive than AOC since he
Right,
got
right.
elected.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, it's been amazing what's
mhm.
been. I heard you got Governor DeSantis down there in Florida saying, "Hey man, the president is talking about banning Florida. Like you
Yeah.
can't, no one's going to be allowed to travel to Florida or out of Florida." And boy, did you ever think you would hear anything like that?
No, but I mean, also the dude 1 year ago refers to Trump as a dictator, or I forget how he said it, but about doing executive orders, and then he breaks every record in all of history with
Well,
executive
yeah,
orders.
I actually saw the quote. Anne Marie pulled it up for me, and he was saying, we got a thing called democracy over here. My opponent doesn't seem to know it. He's doing everything by executive order.
Yeah,
But, he was all. It's really funny how this guy.
but
I
the
saw
whole party's nothing but hypocrites. Anything
it's
they
true.
say, they're actors on.
So here's something funny is that I saw, and I only saw a short bit of this, but I saw somebody had put together a debate between Joe Biden and just clips of Joe Biden today and Joe Biden many years ago. So
Oh, I
he's
bet
actually
that was
debating
different.
himself, and it's like amazing. Like he'll
Wow.
he'll talk about the border
Yeah.
and how the most important thing for the American worker is that we're very conscious of the border.
Yes.
It's illegal aliens,
Yeah.
and then today, and he says the exact opposite. I mean, with just as much conviction as he said the last thing, and
Sure.
it's mind blowing. And I thought it was brilliant actually, and I wish I'd like to see more of that kind of stuff because
Mhm.
that's really what the press is supposed to be doing, is showing us, is this guy consistent? Is he, when he gets into office, is he
Right.
going to flip flop around, or is he going? Well, I wish they would do that, but I mean, use their own words. They're on tape. We got the stuff.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of that Crystal and Stogger. If you remember, that was that team that the woman was from MSNBC, the guy Stogger was from Fox, and they both quit those networks. They were on Rogan. That's how I discovered them.
Oh,
And they both said, "Oh, you get your talking points. They
yeah.
let you know you'll have a fine career if you follow your talking points, and they'll have your back when things fold in on you. You'll be fine." But it wasn't news. It was fake news, and they said both sides. And
I
so they
believe
do
it.
their own show.
Yeah.
It's on the Hill. It's called The Rise. It's really good because both are pretty. Even though she's left and he's right, they're both very moderate. And
Yeah.
man, they talk about some great stuff. It's very well done show.
I
Absolutely love
love
it.
to see that kind of thing where people
Yeah.
can communicate and come together. I was having a conversation with my neighbor about that. I may have talked about this before, but we were talking about voter suppression and obviously between a conservative and a liberal, we have different ideas about that, but we were able to get to the core of the real problem, which should concern everybody. And then he actually said, man, we should go around the country and talk to people about this, or guys like us, to talk, because you're a conservative, I'm a liberal, and we should do our own investigation and come up with this. It'll
Yeah.
be non-biased, and people we'd have credibility because
It's called podcast, man. That's what everybody's doing.
that's where this is going, right?
It seems like that is
wanting to get the truth. You're gonna have to go to the podcast.
I think this is the saving grace. If anything can save us, it is this kind of thing. And it seems like there's a thirst and a hunger for it, because more and more people realize that they are getting bamboozled. And I've been meaning for weeks to share some stats about the distrust of American people with the media. I got an article in Stats on it, and it's bad. But Democrats are at all-time high in trust levels of the media.
They are. Well, I mean, of course they are, because like we've said before, everything seems right and true when you only hear the one side. And
Exactly.
that's what they're really focused on doing. And it's interesting. Uh, I I mean, we just live in unprecedented times right now, and we're seeing where, the fact that this time is really being used to shut down any dissenting thought or any competition that's out there. A lot of this, oh, it was hate speech or whatever. We talked about it last week with the whole Reddit thing
Mm.
and these hedge fund managers,
Yeah.
but it's
Huh.
not about hate speech. It's about eliminating your competition out there, and they're using it.
Mhm.
They're using these terms in order to shut that down.
Oh, they are, and it's getting worse day by day. That again, Tulsi Gabbard was talking with Rogan about that, and they're talking about social media and Parler getting axed and all of this, and how they're trying to censor things under the whole hate speech moniker, which is ambiguous. That you can take that anywhere you want, and as soon as you back it up one step, you're then going to back it up another. And Tulsi said it best. She goes, "It." All of social media should be just governed under the First Amendment. And there's a lot of precedent that has been set up historically, meaning court battles that have waged along the lines of the First Amendment. What is free speech? What is not? And she goes, that's the precedent for what all of social media should go by. No new terms such as, in quotes, hate speech and stuff like that. I think that makes good sense.
I think that makes sense too. Here's an interesting thing about this too, Barry. It's uh, these social media companies can get away with suppressing information because they're not the government. Like
Mm-hmm.
the First Amendment really applies to the federal government, but a private corporation could suppress free speech,
Mm-hmm.
and that would not be unconstitutional.
Right.
So what I think is interesting is when we take a look at going back to our impeachment talk, is that there's a First Amendment argument that's pretty powerful, but it also seems a little bit taboo for the media, and that is that the president is the symbolic head. That office is the symbolic head of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and everything. And the First Amendment says that Congress will not make a law to abridge free speech. And so here the president is saying we got to fight like hell to save our government. And he is actually protected under free speech. And when we start to say, oh, he incited, that's a lot like hate speech. There's no real definition for
Mm-hmm.
incitement.
Mm-hmm.
This is a slippery slope, because I think that if you impeach Trump for this, which I don't think is going to happen, but it opens up the floodgates for pretty much
Mm-hmm.
shutting down any kind of speech,
I
because
agree.
anything could fall into that hate speech realm or
Mhm.
incitement realm, and then pretty soon now we can't even communicate with each other.
No, that's true. And I think in a way that trial is very important along those lines. But there's not much of a doubt in my mind that it's not going anywhere. I
I
mean,
don't think so
if it
either.
were, if they were to convict him, oh, I'd say we got everything in the world to worry about in this country.
Well, it is interesting. Here's another argument on the flip side, is that they're saying that they're making a point that there's a big thing that I hadn't really thought a lot about, is when the riots or started, there was like a 4-hour period there where they're saying Trump didn't say anything, didn't do anything. And what they're trying to prove is that if his intent wasn't to incite this, then he would have said something before 4 hours of this melee happened. And I got to say, that's pretty powerful.
What do you mean? To me, it sounds like they're trying to mind read.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. But what they're trying to prove, the only thing that they can do is prove intent. They can't say that from his words that, oh, he definitely incited and told them to go in and crush the Capitol, because he
Yeah.
never actually said that.
Right.
So they're going to have to prove intent. And the way I think they're going to try to prove intent is that he didn't actually do anything to stop it from happening once it started for 4 hours. That actually is an argument that I think could stick in the heads of some Republicans, so they have any kind of chance of making it, because they need 17 Republicans to vote along with the Democrats for this this conviction to happen, and it seems like that's never going to happen. But if they can plant some seeds of doubt in certain people's heads, I don't think it's 100% out of the question that he could be convicted, especially given what we saw on the 6th, where you had certain people like Kelly Loeffler out of Georgia, who is going to contest the count. And when she saw the violence that happened, she changed her mind. Which didn't actually change the events of November 3rd, but so they intimidated her into changing what she remembered from November 3rd. And I just think that that it's possible that could happen again, but we're gonna have to see. We're just gonna have to see. I've been hearing that Trump's attorneys have not looked good in this, but again, I'm hearing it from the media, which I don't trust. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't read really anything about it because it's just so silly. The whole thing. Well, you're right. I mean, I can't. It's a waste of time because
it is.
Yeah, what you're reading is just a bunch of crap.
It's tainted, right? It's like you can't.
Very tainted.
In order to try to get to the truth, you got to read everybody's crap.
Yeah.
But by the time you do that, you're so depressed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
exactly right. You're exactly right. Hey, it's Valentine's Day this weekend, and it's mine and Lisa's 12th anniversary.
Oh, is that right? Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. 12. My gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah,
Jeez.
It sure is. And so I'm making my annual roast this weekend.
Oh, my mouth is watering.
It's to die for.
Yeah,
remember we made a roast one time back in college?
I do.
We did, and it turned out pretty good.
And it made the house smell, or the apartment smell, so good.
So it's just like that. Yeah, it's just like that. It's all natural, though. I know back then we didn't know about preservatives. No. But
open up that little bag of stuff and pour it in there, whatever that is.
Right.
That makes
for some reason you got to mix it in these 2 test tubes. First of all, yeah.
Don't mix them together, no.
Right. So we're doing that, and I might actually. I hope that I'm meeting a friend out at a bar on the west side, my electrical safety guy, to talk some business about some promotional stuff, but it's more about, dude, I've been wanting to go to this just regular old bar with good bar food.
That's a huge deal. Like if I got to do that this weekend, I'd be over the top. Like
I'm hoping that he follows through. He should be letting me know. I told him by about 3:00 I'm available. I hope so.
That sounds great.
I haven't done anything.
I'm happy. I hope you get to do it. I want a full report next week.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
Hey,
I was giddy when I went out to meet with Rhonda after. It was just like, we're free. And for a minute, it was like all the stuff happening just kind of went away. You know?
Yeah. I really need this. I really do need this.
I hear you.
You know what happened last night? About
what?
Somewhere in the 8:00-ish hour or whatever. I was sitting here at my desk a long time yesterday, and I was working on that proposal with Susan. By the way, it's a proposal for me to produce a podcast for Lakeland Community College.
Really?
And she's writing the accompanying blog articles. Yeah, and it's I just quoted doing exactly what we do. So it's going to be video as well. I edited it up, slapped some branding on it, posted all. It's just exactly the same thing. So that's cool.
I think that's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
And I love, this over 50 starting over is such a great experience that we're having here that we can, that I'm doing that thing with World Edition and everything. It's like, well, I wouldn't have been on that if I hadn't
Sure.
been on this, and who knows where this stuff leads, right?
Absolutely. So, anyways, I got up after that. My Achilles on my right foot was killing me. And I'm walking down the stairs like, oh, this hurts. This hurts. But that's all. So I go to bed. Dude, I wake up at 12:30 a.m. dying in pain. My Achilles is just killing me. I can't sleep.
It?
I don't know.
Fasciitis or?
I don't know. I had to get up and I took 3 ibuprofens. Then, of course, it took an hour for those to hit me. You know, it was really like, I'm starting to think, do I got to go to the emergency room? Like, is this going to top out at some point, or is it going to continue? Well, what the hell is it?
You know, Anne Marie's been suffering with something with her foot too, and it's something happens with your foot, and it just, your life is 100%. It's like, what do you do? You know, because you need your feet for everything, and we take them for granted until something hurts down there, and you're just like, man, I get everything about my life revolves around my little toe.
I know, for sure. You know, so I took 3 of those. Tough. They're actually Aleve, 220 milligrams each. So at that high dosage, I've learned this through all my many injuries. At that high dosage, it's naproxen. It's a anti-inflammatory, right, along with the painkiller. So I was pretty sure that would help. And well, it did. I got back to sleep and everything. And even now, it's still sore. But I did. I went to the gym and I worked out. Not I didn't use my foot or anything, but just like, man, we just talked about that
last week. We were talking about it. We talked about hurting yourself going down the stairs.
Yeah, and I woke up at 12:30 in the morning. I didn't do anything to it. I can't. If I went to the doctor, I would be so embarrassed. I don't know.
How did you do this?
Yeah, nothing. I just feel like
up.
I should be sitting there in a dress. I don't know.
all shaking and frail.
Yeah, really. It just hurts. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's embarrassing in that regard, but it hurts so bad that I couldn't sleep. So
oh man,
just bizarre.
I can relate. Yeah, these things, especially when pain wakes you up, that's such a bummer
for no reason. What is that? There's got
that's what happened to Anne Marie. Her foot started hurting actually several months ago, and there was no reason for it. And she had it got to the point where, I mean, she could barely move, and it happened right before she went on this exhibition with her niece, where they traveled to all these places in Utah and Arizona, the Grand Canyon, all this hiking that they had planned and everything. And right before they went, her foot started to have these problems.
Now, see, I don't know exactly where in her foot it was, but my guess would be
her heel.
My guess would, her heel. I don't know. Because I was going to say my guess would be arthritis, because we just start getting mild arthritis at this age and it'll flare up now and then. Mine's puzzling because it's a tendon.
I opted out of that one, the arthritis thing. I opted out.
That's a good move. Yeah. Then what did you do? Put all your eggs into the cancer basket?
No.
I'd rather deal with that.
I just ate. I ate the eggs. I didn't put them in any basket. I'm hungry.
How about that lady's dress on that last?
Oh my gosh, dude! Can you? How insulting that they're selling this. That's the crime. There should be women marching in front of Target.
No kidding.
What do you want us to go back before the voter rights movement?
You're exactly right.
I mean, what? It seems like they're sending a message.
You're
who
right.
Would wear that?
You got a good point, because also I put in my notes, and I didn't bring it up because it's frivolous, but on The Bachelor, I'm sure you don't watch it. I don't watch it, but I saw this article that the spokesman guy, you know his face, you see him, he's the main guy. He's getting canceled or ridiculed all through Twitter, dragged through the mud, because he didn't answer quick enough and fast enough about, okay, so some girl, a bachelorette, what have you, a participant, photos surfaced. You got to love this when they're digging up shit from the past. Photos surfaced of her at a plantation party, something like that. So apparently these were a thing where people dressed up like in the old South days and had an old South like party, and they took pictures and had a good time, but they've been made illegal or something since like 2016 because plantation, it's right up there with the Union flag and stuff like that. Well, you must be a racist. And they're trying to, they're trying to feel that Southern belle kind of wholeness and stuff. They're not thinking racist, but you know how it is now. Well, so that guy, that host didn't, so somebody brought that up about a contestant and he didn't demonize it quick and hard enough. So now he's getting drugged through the mud as insensitive.
Brutal. That's brutal.
It is, isn't it? Oh my God. I'm kind of glad I didn't bring it up because this is so pathetic.
Well, and the cancel culture is on hyperspace mode. I mean, they're just eating everything in its sight. They're eating, and Disney just came out with they just fired this woman that works there.
Gina, what's her face? Yeah, she was
or something like
that. Yeah, I can't say her last name here. But because she posted some
Carano, that's it.
Yeah, right. Kind of inspired posts.
Well,
that's man. That's her crime.
She was making a comparison that I don't know was accurate or not, but she was saying, hey, in Nazi Germany, they got the neighbors to hate the Jewish people first before they took away their rights. And they did. I mean, there's a point that she's making. I mean, there were all these publications that demonized Jewish people, and so she's bringing that up. And no, there's nothing offensive about what she said. You might not agree with what she said, but there's nothing offensive. And they said that her stuff was
hate speech.
It was terrible. They said it was hate speech, and they fired her. But funny thing, on the very same show that she's on, the star of the show put out a tweet, and his tweet was of kids in the cages at the border, and then the picture, that was a picture of that, saying this is Trump doing this. And then people in concentration camps behind a gate as well with the garb on and everything. And
the hypocrisy,
so nothing happens to that guy. He's making a Hitler comparison. She's making a comparison.
And if she would have made that, if the only words you changed in there was anything that was right and turned it into left, she would have been heralded as a hero.
Oh, she would have been a star. Like, oh yeah, you won one for the team right there. So, I mean, it's a double standard we're seeing. It's too bad that places like Disney are, fall for that kind of stuff as well. I just say people should just do what they think is right. It just, but this is like the Twitter mob, I guess, that's a real thing, right? I mean,
it is.
And they just, seem to be cutting people out of society, which is terrible.
There's two ways that could go too, because there's the hopeful side of me that says that there's no way this stupidity doesn't fold in upon itself. And you see the growing number of people that are disenchanted with mainstream media and all of this bullshit because it's so ridiculous. But then there's the other side of me that says, but we have such a huge percentage of people that watch reality TV and get their news out of snippets off CNN and in late night TV. And that's their reality.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely the
truth. And with that, Merle, there are times when I feel bleak and I wanted to just reach out to you and say, do you really see, let's talk historically speaking and rationally, is there any way that we do not end up going full on communist from here?
Yeah, I think that it's a total concern to have here. I would agree, and I've thought a lot about this too.
Yeah, it seems inevitable, the path that we're on.
It does seem that way. I would admit it seems that way. I mean, really, where we are right now is pretty heavy socialism that's happening right now. So, and there's little difference between socialism and communism, although there is a difference. I still feel hope that things can turn around here. I think what you're saying is that it seems like there's a point where people should wake up and say, wait a second, we can't do this. This is assured mutual destruction right here. And that we would somehow get our senses back and start working together. And I don't know. I really believe that in order to do that, we need to have leaders emerge that can not only speak the language of their constituents, but also speak the language of the people that are their political opponents. And I think it goes back to that thing we've been talking about, is it seems like nobody's listening, and we need a great leader that can listen, that can interpret and find a good place for all of us to go, or explain why that's not going to work, because your real goal is this, and here's how I see this going. But if we really want to get to that real root goal that we can all agree on, it's a common thing, here's a more logical way of looking at it, and here's the historical precedent that we've seen. And if we could do that, we're going to be okay. But I think it takes getting in their boat first and understanding their world, and then maybe even refashioning some of how you think, and be willing to change. We don't have any of that going on right now.
I think the key to it is to achieve what you're talking about is, and it pains me when people say that Trump's going to start his own party called the Patriot Party, because that'd be the exact opposite of what we need. It would tear the country apart, I think. But if we had a moderate third party rise to the occasion, an independent party, or if it were the Libertarian Party, but where moderates from each side are just like, look, my constituents don't even want to look at me again until I get out of this situation. And the moderates from both sides go into this third party, and slowly, probably even quickly, that percentage of dummies that watch reality TV and late night stuff will start to come around as well and go, this actually makes sense. They're making sense here. And I'm watching Jimmy Kimmel say a bunch of stuff that isn't making sense. Did you see what did he say? It was about the GameStop thing. Boy, did he get caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
What happened? I have no idea. And I see him say some pretty outrageous things.
He says some stupid stuff. I mean, that's a dude that thinks that he's really smart and he's an activist and he's really stupid. And I think he's a tool for the, in more ways than one, for the, what do you want to call them? The overseers.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah. But he said about GameStop.
Idiot.
Yeah. Oh, but what he said, and it's possible Russian infiltrators that geez, dude. So when the common people, these kids get together and overthrow Wall Street, big buck Wall Street hedge funders, which is like, for once, a score for the little guy, he goes and tries to spin it on what? Russia. Oh my God.
I mean, their obsession with Russia.
Is it when they don't know what else to say, try to get Russia in there. Russia. Oh yeah, you can look that up on YouTube, man. I did.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to see the Jimmy Kimmel show?
No. Why would you do that?
It was terrible.
But you needed like 4 showers.
Terrible. Well, I didn't really know a whole lot about Jimmy Kimmel, but my mother-in-law was in town, and it was the guy that was what was that name? I'll think of it in a second. He's like the guest on the show was somebody that she wanted to see. And it was that guy, Jack something. He was like a CIA guy. It was a real popular show, like 24, I think it was
Jack
called.
Ryan or something.
Yeah. And it was the guy that played him that she really liked that character on the show, and she wanted to see him, and he was on the Jimmy Kimmel show that night. So it's right down the road, right?
Okay.
It's in Hollywood. We go there. I'd never been to a show like that before. We wait for like 2.5 hours outside. It was like to see this. It's free, right? So you can't really complain.
Okay.
So you're waiting out there. You go in finally, and as you're going in, you got these people that are herding you in, and they're rude as I don't know what. They're like, they're yelling at us, like about the line and pressing the line and everything. It was really weird. But so I got this real bad feeling right away. We get these seats. And they're almost in the front row, front center. And I thought, well, this was almost worth the wait, right? And so Anne-Marie and I are sitting there, my mother-in-law and her brother right there, front center. I'm like, okay, this is great. And then all of a sudden, there's a very rude woman comes over that works there, and she points to Anne-Marie and I and just says, you up. And I was like, you talking to me? She goes, you up, you two up, like that. Like, it was weird. And she said, we have to leave. Yes. And she leads us out. We don't know what's going on. And to the back of the studio audience, there's a couple chairs back there. And she goes, sit here. And I'm like, well, wait, my mother-in-law. No, you have to sit here. We have a celebrity guests that are coming, and we're taking your seat. And guess who it was? You'll never guess. It was Joey Buttafuoco and his girlfriend.
Yeah, I know the name from like the 90s. What was his deal?
Joey Buttafuoco was the mechanic who was having an affair with this little Lolita chick who fell in love with him. And then so she went back to his house and shot his wife in the face, who lived. And then he was on like Howard Stern. He became one of those kind of celebrities by default. And so he's kind of, he's kind of a scummy guy. And so me and Anne-Marie have to sit in the back of the place. Joey Buttafuoco takes our place. Next to my mother-in-law for God's sakes, Well, so the seats we were sitting in were the very last row, and you know how you have like risers. Well, that last one drops below, so we couldn't even see. Couldn't even see. I was so upset the whole time. I couldn't even hear any of the interviews because I was so mad. I had like this black cloud over my face. So at the end, so we leave and we're going out to the car and everything. And I was just had such a bitter taste in my mouth. And Anne-Marie says, "Oh my God, I lost my sunglasses. They're in the studio, honey. Can you go back and get my sunglasses?" I'm like, "Well, your sunglasses? Well, I'll buy you some new ones." Like, no. These are like $125 sunglasses. Okay, I'll be right back. I go over there and I'm like at the front door, and they're like, "You can't come in here, sir." My wife left her sunglasses. I don't care. I'm like, "What do you mean you don't care? I mean, I was just in here. They're $125 pair of sunglasses. I'm not. No, you can't go in there." They would not let me in. And I'm like, "Dude, I am not leaving." Are you married? Because if you were, you'd understand why I'm not leaving. I can't. I'm not allowed to go back without those sunglasses. And then they were like, "That's not my problem, sir." I mean, they were.
Oh my God!
Somebody heard me in there who obviously was their superior. It was like, "Let them in." Jeez, like that. And they were underneath their seat. But what a horrible experience all around. Wow. Never gonna do that again. Yeah. Just the people all around that work for Jimmy Kimmel are like the biggest jerks on earth. He just attracts that, apparently. Yeah. And you know how they have like somebody that comes out to warm you up before the person comes out. So you had this comedian was the foulest comedian, like one of those super rude guys, like just
Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, like the mean kind of humor, right?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, like Andrew Dice Clay. He just says like the rudest, foulest, disgusting things. And so that's how it all started. And the whole thing, I felt slimed by the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a terrible story. I feel bad for you.
It was years ago. I'm almost over it.
But you know what? It's kind of like one of those things. I'm glad you went through it to warn me about it. If I ever
do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I won't.
It's terrible.
Because I don't like the public stuff anyway, going to sporting events, rock concerts, I've done enough of it to know I don't like it because I don't like being herded like cattle. I don't like being treated.
I don't like that either.
Yeah. And especially when you go to leave and you just want to get the hell out of there and you can't. Hey, where'd you go?
Sorry. I disappeared for a second. I'll be back.
Okay.
I was unplugging things by, I don't know. It should come back in a second. Hey, how about that picture there?
That's Hallie's from at least 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But I still look sort of like that.
Yeah, you do, man. You're ageless. You're like a vampire.
It's like my mom. She's like that too. I mean, we get on this podcast every couple of weeks as we do the Bible study, right? And which, by the way, that they are doing such a great job of that. I mean, it's wonderful, and everybody they get so much out of it. It's a joy. Anyway, so but I see her on the video, and it seems like every week she looks better and better. Wow. And it's like what was that movie where the guy like reverses ages? She's like that. She's just like getting younger. She's so beautiful. I can't even. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's my mom. And guess what? When I'm her age, I'm going to look just as good as her.
Good for you, man. Just get back to exercising as soon as you can.
I am. I've been on my bicycle. That's the big deal
Good.
here. So last
Good.
weekend I was on the bicycle again, and this weekend getting back on the bicycle. So that's I'm thinking about doing the MS ride this summer, and so I
You
have
mentioned
to really get ready
Yeah.
for that. But it seems like it's high time to start doing that, and I'm thinking that that could be a really good adventure for me.
I think so too. That
Something to look
sounds
forward
fun.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, bike riding seems a long ways off from me.
Yeah, but it'll be here before you know it, the way time
Yeah.
flies and
Well, you
everything.
know how it is. 2 weeks from now, we're in Florida. We get back. It's second week of March, basically. So,
Boy.
and then I got March. I have to fix my house up because I got another 3-month renter coming in April, May, and June. So March is going to be full, and
Wow.
then it's April. So yeah, so it's going to go by very quickly for me at this point.
Hey, that's it, just how it always goes every year. I wanted to just go back and say, this week we've been talking about Chris Voss on her show.
Yeah.
This week I was asked by our regional vice president to do a training on the labeling and mirroring thing, and and so what we did was we queued it up a little like we did before, but there was a couple of people in our team meeting that I felt like I would like to know those people more. So maybe we can introduce the sales meeting and say, because our team is new, that we'd just like to maybe feature this as a highlight at the beginning of our sales meeting. So we took 2 people and I asked them what their passion was, and we had like 2 really cool conversations. And one of them, we found out the guy started talking about how he proposed to his wife and how he did this amazing thing. But the cool part about it was it's a guy that there's sort of a consensus that he's not one of those guys that shares any personal information about himself at all. We all love the guy, but we don't know anything about him. And we were able to find out this really awesome stuff about his life and about this that he's really like this romantic and this really cool thing he did with his wife. And I never would have known that had we not opened up the door for him to feel comfortable and talk about that. And we were all listening so intently.
I think that's probably because he's a very good listener. And so people
He is.
Yes. And so people are just blah, 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 blah. And
That's
never
exactly
really
right.
Yeah, ask about him. And he's happy with doing that because he doesn't like talking about him.
Well, let's see now that's where you're wrong, is that I'll tell him this is the kind of guy he is, because he's such a great guy. And I'll be like, John, I got to tell you, you changed my life by telling me that kind of stuff. And I just want to tell you what a great guy you are. And when you said this, that, and the other, how did you get that? I don't know, but thanks. That's it. That's all we'll say. Like, we'll never say there's no reason. And it's really funny. And so, but this way of speaking, using the labeling and everything, did open them up. And I will say this, that Chris Voss talks about how you put the label out there and then you got to be quiet and let the label do its work.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing, because I was like, when is the guy going to say something? I just want to say something. And it would be like these really long pauses. I'm like, did he hear me? Like, but it would pay off every time. Every time he would say, it was really something.
Those are difficult questions. When you ask somebody what their passion is and stuff, that's a tough question.
Well, it wasn't tough for him to answer that question. It was tough. Like when I would put a label out there, it seemed like he was almost resistant to responding to the label. It seems like you really think a lot about your kids' development and put a lot of planning into how you work with them. Yep. And yep, like I try to put a mirror out there. Yep. This isn't going too well. Can we start again?
But
it did work out. It actually
out.
worked out, and we found out some great stuff, and we found out the movie. He made us guess the movie that he was watching that he took his wife to right before he proposed to her. It was really fun, actually.
Oh, that's
and we
cool.
found out all this really. We still don't know his wife's name or his kid's name, so we'll have to get that next time. But it's just pretty funny.
It's a good
how
story,
people are.
though. That's what I like. You know, I was worried that maybe we were spending too much time on just that negotiation, but I think it was really good. But, you know, it's really a perfect segue to talk about drumming up business development as well.
Yeah.
And
yes.
We could revisit that from different angles too.
I think so too. I hope that that part of the show went okay, because there's a lot to think about when you think about the different industries and the different types of sales. And you've got people that are inbound salespeople, like they're really good at taking those calls and everything. But then you got those people that are great at the simple sale. You've got just one decision maker, and you can give them a pitch or whatever. Then you got the complex sale where you got all these different people and different entities that you have to figure out what role in this particular buying cycle they're doing. And so you need a person that really understands how to maneuver through the complex sale. But you can't use that guy for a simple sale because he's going to be bored with that. There's just like, it's a Rubik's Cube when you start to think about what you're looking for and how you're looking to do it. And the fact is that this is hard. It's not easy, man. It's hard.
No, it truly is. And do you have my access to my O5O notes?
You mean on our note page? Yeah, I do. I didn't look at them this week though.
Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure that you had access, because you would always make reference to the fact that, I saw this in your notes or that, and I just needed to finally open up my own. So because waiting through all of yours,
I took all that out of there, by the way.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. After you said that a couple of weeks ago, I cleaned all those old notes out.
Oh, well, I could take all of mine out. I don't know. I like having both of ours in there so we can both see
that
what each
too.
other has. But
this week has been such a blur for me, because I had to give my business review for the year this week in front of like everybody at our company, and that was just yesterday, which went fantastic. I had that training that I did at the beginning of the week. I had a whole bunch of other stuff. I got a meeting coming up in a couple of minutes. It's been a blur this week, and I did the podcast the other morning as well. I got to send you a link to that, by the way. Sure. There's a little. It was I thought it was an interesting show, a little bit better than the last one, but there's still some things that I want to work with these guys on. I like these people a lot. It's going to be fun to. I've got some stuff I want to share with you regarding information about how you and I can be involved in the show, and we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, and we kind of got lost with Rex too. There's been twice that he reached out to us, been like, "Hey, these would be some good topics to have on the show," meaning over 50 starting over, and we hadn't followed up.
Yeah, and we can bring him on at any time. I mean, he's got a lot of good material, especially now with everything that's going on. So, lots of good things to look forward to, man.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We both got to get going. Yep. All right, dude. Hey, happy Valentine's Day. Quickly, you're not doing anything special for that?
No, we're just, I'm just happy we could go outside. So that's going to be, and we're going to be riding our bicycles. And last night, as we were falling asleep, we were talking about how we're going to ride our bicycles and try to, enjoy being able to exercise out there.
Good. All right, dude. Love you, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Man. Later.
Right, bye.